You are in your 30s, maybe early 30s, maybe pushing 35, maybe closer to 39 than you would like to admit. And somewhere along the way, you picked up this quiet belief that you already missed the window. You see the content online. Start investing at 22. Buy your first property at 25. Retire at 45. And you do the math in your head, and something tightens in your chest because you are not 22 anymore. You did not start at 25. And retirement at 45 already sounds like someone else's life. So you close the video. You tell yourself you will figure it out later, and later keeps moving further away. Here is what nobody is telling you. Your 30s are not a late start. For most people, your 30s are actually the first time in your life that you have the income, the clarity, and the self awareness to build wealth properly. The 22-year-old investing $50 a month is not your competition. You are not playing the same game. You never were. And once you understand what game you are actually playing, and what tools you have access to that a 22-year-old simply does not, everything changes. In this video, I am going to show you exactly what your life looks like if you start building wealth in your 30s. Not the motivational version, the realistic version. What you need to do, what traps you need to avoid, and what the actual outcome looks like 5 and 10 years from now if you take this seriously. Most financial advice online is built for one of two people: the 22-year-old with no real expenses, no real responsibilities, and 40 years of runway ahead of them, or the already wealthy person who is optimizing an existing portfolio and trying to decide between real estate strategies. Neither of those people is you. You have real expenses: rent or a mortgage that takes a serious bite out of every paycheck, maybe a family, car payments, student loans that somehow followed you into your 30s, a social life that costs money, a career that is established but has not yet hit its ceiling. And when you try to apply advice that was designed for a 22-year-old to your actual financial reality, it does not fit. The numbers do not work. The timelines feel impossible. So you dismiss the whole thing, tell yourself you will start when things are more stable and nothing changes. Here is the reframe that actually matters. Building wealth in your 30s is not about doing what a 22-year-old does, just slower. It is about using what a 30-year-old actually has that a 22-year-old does not. And that list is longer than most people realize. You have a higher income, significantly higher in most cases. You have a clearer picture of what you actually want your life to look like. You have spent a decade making financial mistakes and learning from them. You have fewer identity experiments left to fund. No more finding yourself through expensive phases. And you have enough urgency to stay consistent because you have already watched a decade disappear and you know exactly how fast time moves. That combination, used correctly, is genuinely powerful. Let me give you the honest picture first because you deserve the real numbers. If you start investing at 30 and you stay consistent until 60, you have 30 years of compounding working for you. 30 years of compounding is not a consolation prize. It is life-changing money. It is the difference between arriving at retirement with options and arriving with none. Yes, the person who started at 22 has an 8-year head start. That head start is real and it matters. But the difference between starting at 22 and starting at 30 is not the financial catastrophe that the content online makes it out to be. The actual catastrophe, the one that ruins financial lives, Misty, is not starting at 30. It is not starting at all. It is being 38 and realizing you have had this exact same internal conversation every year for the past 8 years and nothing has moved. The window is not closed. but it does require a different approach. You cannot afford to be passive. You cannot afford to invest $100 a month and feel like you have handled it. You cannot afford to leave your income on cruise control, and you absolutely cannot afford lifestyle inflation, which in your 30s becomes the single most expensive financial trap you will face. The approach that works in your 30s is deliberate, focused, and consistent. Not complicated, but not passive either. In your 30s, your income is sitting at an inflection point. You have enough experience, enough proven output, and enough of a track record to command real money in the market. You are not entry level. You are not starting from zero. And the gap between what you earn right now and what you could realistically earn with focused effort over the next 3 to 5 years is almost certainly larger than you think. This is where most people in their 30s leave the most money on the table. They accept the income they currently have. They stop negotiating. They stop building skills that the market will pay a premium for. They get comfortable in the role, in the company, in the salary band, and they stay there for years while the market moves past them. Here is the uncomfortable truth. A consistent 15% increase in your income, maintained and invested over 20 years, does more for your total wealth than almost any investment strategy you could choose. More than picking better stocks, more than timing the market, more than finding the perfect fund. Income is the engine. Everything else is steering. Step one is not choosing the right ETF. Step one is making your income grow every single year without exception. That means negotiating raises and not accepting the first number your employer offers. It means developing skills that the market genuinely values and will pay for. It means being willing to change jobs when the external market will pay you meaningfully more than your current employer will. Research consistently shows that people who switch jobs increase their salary 10 to 20% on average. Do that twice in 5 years and your income looks completely different. The people who build serious wealth starting in their 30s almost always share one characteristic. Their income in year 5 looks significantly different from their income in year 1. Not because they got lucky, because they treated income growth as a deliberate project with a plan, not something that just happened to them. Here's the trap that quietly destroys more wealth building in your 30s than anything else. More than bad investments, more than debt, more than anything. Your income starts growing, and everything around you starts growing with it. Better apartment, newer car, more expensive holidays. More eating out, a wardrobe that keeps pace with your income, nicer furniture, the gym upgrade, the subscription that is only a few pounds a month, and none of those individual decisions feel significant. Each one feels reasonable. Each one feels earned. But the pattern is what kills you. Every time more money comes in, more money goes out. And 5 years later, your income has grown by 30%. And your savings rate is exactly where it was. You earn more. You spend more. And your financial position barely moves. This is lifestyle inflation. And in your 30s, it is everywhere. And because the social pressure to level up your life is at its absolute peak. Your peers are buying houses. Your colleagues are driving better cars. Your social feed is full of holidays and renovations and upgrades. The pull to match that is real and it is relentless. The rule that actually works is this. Every single time your income increases, save and invest at least half of the increase before your lifestyle has a chance to absorb it. If you get a raise of $1,000 per month, $500 goes straight to investments the same day. The other $500 you spend however you want. You still benefit from the raise, you still feel the improvement. You just do not let the entire thing disappear into a slightly more expensive version of the same life. Do this consistently and your savings rate compounds alongside your income. That is the mechanism. That is how the numbers actually change. Once your income is growing and your savings rate is locked in, the third step is making sure your money is actually working, not just sitting. Money sitting in a savings account is not building wealth. A savings account protects money, it does not grow it. With inflation running the way it does, money that just sits is quietly losing value every single year. For most people in their 30s, the most reliable long term approach is consistent investment in broad market index funds. Not because it is exciting, not because it makes a good story, because the data supports it across a century of market history. The S&P 500 has returned roughly 10% annually on average over the last 100 years. That number includes the Great Depression. It includes 2008. It includes every crash, every recession, every moment of genuine uncertainty. And it still averages 10%. You do not need to time the market. You do not need to research individual stocks. You do not need a financial advisor charging you fees to pick funds for you. You need to invest a fixed amount every single month and leave it alone. The person who starts at 30 and invests $1,000 a month consistently has over $200,000 by 40, over $600,000 by 50, and over $1.5 million by 60. That is not a promise, but that is what the math looks like when you do not stop. The enemy of your wealth is not the market crashing. It is you stopping when the market crashes. It is skipping a month because something came up. It is pausing for a year because things feel uncertain. Consistency is not a nice to have. It is the entire strategy. There are 3 specific traps that kill financial progress in your 30s more than anything else. The first is comparison spending. Your 30s are the decade when everyone around you appears to be winning. Nice houses, nice cars, holidays that fill their social media, private schools, extension builds. The problem is that most of it is financed. Most of it is performance. Most of those people are one unexpected expense away from real stress. Build your own scoreboard and measure yourself against it, not against what someone else is projecting online. The second trap is lifestyle creep disguised as deserving it. You worked hard, you sacrificed, you earned the upgrade, and that thinking is not entirely wrong. The problem is when it applies to every decision, every raise, every bonus. You can reward yourself. That is part of the point. Just not with everything, every time. The discipline is knowing the difference between a reward and a pattern. The third trap is waiting for the perfect moment to start. Waiting until the debt is fully paid. Waiting until the income is higher. Waiting until the kids are older. Waiting until things feel more stable. Here is the truth. Things do not become stable. Life does not clear a runway and give you a green light. The perfect moment is a story you tell yourself to make inaction feel reasonable. Start now with whatever you have. Adjust as you go. Let me tell you about someone who started at 32 with almost nothing in place. No investments. A small amount of lingering debt from his mid-20s. An income that was reasonable but not exceptional. The kind of financial picture that most people in their 30s would recognize immediately. Not a disaster, but not building toward anything either. He made one decision. For 5 years, he was going to treat his finances the way he had learned to treat his career. With intention, with focus, and without making excuses when it felt inconvenient. In the first year, he cleared the remaining debt and started investing a small amount consistently. In year 2, he negotiated a significant raise and moved half of it straight to investments before he could adjust to having it. In year 3, he changed companies entirely and his income jumped by nearly 20%. He kept his lifestyle roughly the same. He invested the difference. By 37, he had over $90,000 invested. His income had nearly doubled from where it started. His monthly investment had grown from $300 to over $1,200. Not because he forced himself to sacrifice, but because his income had grown and he had protected the gains before lifestyle could take them. For the first time in his adult life, his financial situation felt like something he had chosen, not something that was just happening to him. That is not an exceptional story. That is what 5 focused years produces for an ordinary person who decides to take it seriously. If you are in your 30s and you want to build real wealth, the roadmap is straightforward. 1. Grow your income deliberately and consistently. It is your single most powerful financial asset, and most people stop developing it far too early. 2. Lock your savings rate before lifestyle inflation absorbs every raise you receive. Half of every increase gets invested, without exception. 3. Invest consistently in long-term assets every single month. Not perfectly, consistently. Never stop. 4. Avoid the 3 traps: comparison spending, deserving it lifestyle creep, and waiting for a moment that will never arrive. 5 years from now is coming whether you are ready or not. 10 years from now is coming. The only question is whether your financial life looks meaningfully different when it gets there. The people who build real wealth starting in their 30s are not smarter. They are not luckier. They did not have access to information you do not have. They simply decided to stop waiting, and they gave it enough time to work. If this gave you a clearer picture of what is actually possible, subscribe. And tell me in the comments, where do you want your finances to be 5 years from today? Because the answer you give matters more than you think. It is the first decision in a long chain of decisions that either builds something or does not. The chain starts now.